almost every time. So yeah, I've done over 70 deals now. A lot of you know Michael Dundon. He's my business partner in the rental business. We've got 36 single-family rentals now that we own and manage together. I've done since the beginning of 2012. I've done about 20 flips, and I've raised about $2.5 million in private money. So I've been busy. So I'm used to being in your seats. So this is an interesting experience for me speaking. I've got a lot of content. It should be fun, and it might be a while. So if at any time it gets too long, you can just get up and leave, and we'll make fun of you as you walk out the door. All right. So Jeremy, when he asked me to come and speak, he had heard that I've been successfully flipping houses in the last couple of years. And so he wanted me to talk about flipping houses. And I kind of went back and forth about that for a whole day. So I was kind of struggling with it, and I decided, screw that, I don't really want to talk about flipping houses because I feel like the big struggle right now is not flipping the houses, but what's going on with this, Chris? Just turn it off. Excellent.
That would make fun of you and your computer.
So the big struggle is finding the deals. I mean, we're in a low inventory market right now. I mean, when I first started buying houses, 2010, 2011, it was a lot easier. I mean, when I first started, you could literally go on the MLS, punch in your criteria, go out, look at a few houses, write some offers, and boom, you're going to get something accepted. It was fairly easy. But now it's not so easy. So my presentation is hunt down deals like a savage. So we're going to bring out the beast in everyone. So fun facts about me. I'm happily married to my wife Dana, celebrating 5 years next month. My wife is say hello, Dana. I live in the cat lady's house. So little story behind that. I went to Jane Addams Elementary School in Redford, where I grew up, and on the back of the playground, there's a fence line, and all the kids would tell you, don't go by the fence line. Don't get too close to the fence. The cat lady will come and she'll snatch you and take you over to her house. So you'd always stay your distance away from the woods back there. So there's this big tall fence, all these woods, and so years later, I grow up, get married, buy a house, and it turns out I bought the cat lady's house. So that's where I live. I possess a questionable number of clown skills. I'm a pretty good juggler. I just stepped up to juggling pins. I can even throw one behind the back mid-juggle. That's what I've been working on.
You say something like that. I want to demonstrate.
Yeah.
At the end. Okay?
At the end, okay. I can do a number of balloon animals. I'm not for hire for any parties, children's parties or anything. I can do the unicycle. I'm a little rusty, but I can still ride around a bit. And like Jeremy said, I recently placed third in the 2013 Gatan North American Championship. No one here plays the game, so no one really cares. But I do. This is a shot.
Which one are you?
Lost a little weight.
This is basically a big nerdy pastime.
So there's only 4 people that play.
Yeah, so only 4 people that play. I came in third. Thousands of people compete. It's actually an international game. We were competing here. These are the final 4. Thousands of people throughout the year were qualifying at different feeder tournaments. This was at Gen Con in Indianapolis a couple weeks ago. I made it all the way down to the final table. It was they're videotaping us, and this guy was coming around and getting in our face, and it was pretty exciting. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of like a fun version of what we do every day. You're building settlements, upgrading them, things like that. But so my real estate adventure. I'm going to try to go through this quickly. We have a lot to cover, but I want to give a little bit of background of how I got started in real estate and give you a little bit of insight of how I got there where I am now. So I come from a family with 3 brothers. There's, well, 4 brothers, but I have 3 brothers. My 2 older brothers started working and making money as teenagers, and I wanted to follow suit. I said, I can do that too. I was too young to get a normal job, so I made flyers and started landing odd jobs around the neighborhood. That evolved into starting a lawn company at age 12 with a friend of mine. At age 14, I bought out my friend's half the company for $1,000 and became the sole owner of Grass Bandits Lawn Service. After long days of school and cutting grass, I would occasionally come home and find an article that my father, who is here tonight, there's my dad, say hello, Christopher. I would occasionally come home and he, realizing that I had an entrepreneurial spirit, he would leave articles on business, finance, and investing on my pillow. So I'd spend late nights reading these articles on investing. I was most intrigued by the articles on real estate and began reading some of the books referenced in the articles. The seed was planted. I was hooked. Life went on. I graduated high school. I passed up a scholarship to U of M to build my lawn business instead. I rented out some industrial space and started pouring my life into growing my lawn business, Grass Bandits. At age 20, I got married and bought the cat lady's house, which had a big enough yard and garage so I could run the business out of it. A couple years later, I was feeling burned out and trapped. I was working 12 to 16 hours a day. Also, I could pay for a house that had tanked in value. We all know what that feels like, right? I was tired of having employees at my house, tired of the ups and downs of seasonal work, tired of snow removal, tired of customers complaining simply because they hated their lives, tired of equipment breaking down, and the list goes on. I just wanted out. I get an amen, Sean.
Amen.
All right.
Soon to follow. I'm working on it.
Then one day, my dad emails me an article. Obviously, I have my own house. They were no longer showing up on my pillow. That would be impressive, though. So I get an article by email this time, and it was highlighting a guy in his 20s. I don't know, many of you may know Andrew Kuhn, who was investing in real estate in Metro Detroit. He was doing what I wanted to do. So I tracked him down, and I told him that I wanted to buy him lunch. For the cost of a few slices of pizza, he gave me names of people I should meet, groups I should join, books I should read, and seminars I should attend. So I met those people, I joined those groups, attended those seminars, and maybe read a book or 2. I went to Dennis Fassett's Set and Forget Rental Real Estate Boot Camp in 2009 and became determined to buy my first rental house. Dennis introduced me to Michael, who was equally poor, yet anxious to start investing. In June of 2010, against many obstacles, the 2 of us plotted, begged, borrowed, and scraped up the funds to buy our first investment property in Redford. So fast forward to the end of 2011, I had ended yet another tiresome lawn season. I couldn't imagine running the business for another year. I was tired, I wanted to get out. I looked at my wife and I said, we're selling the business. At that point, I had only made about $15,000 in real estate that year on a couple of wholesale deals, and I had about 6 rental properties that were not yet cash flowing as a whole. So it was certainly not enough to start paying my bills, so this was kind of a risky move. However, I knew deep down inside that I really felt that I'd started to get the hang of this real estate thing. I felt that I could make it work. But obviously, so I sold off my backup plan, which is the lawn business, and I was going to be forced to either succeed or fail miserably. And a couple of months later, I sold my business to Sean. Thanks, Sean.
Welcome.
So enter the savage. This is the most savage pictures of myself I could find. So with my only source of income that I'd ever known now abruptly gone, I knew that my ability to survive depended on me finding and locking up solid real estate deals. My new savage instincts led me to look under every rock to find these deals, and I became a savage house hunter. I need some water. I'll get glasses right
Can I ask you a question?
here. Sure.
What was the situation involved in that picture of you in a bar with a skin hat? What was that all about?
Me and Dana we were on a road trip.
He was out house shopping.
And we were just trying on hats at a souvenir shop.
Oh, okay.
Just to make up an elaborate story.
I mean, I killed a man with this stuff. Okay, so 17 unique ways I've hunted down and slayed awesome deals. The following slides are a collection of strategies, short stories, and insights into the mind of a cold-blooded deal maker. It's my best attempt to sound tough. These are real-life accounts of how I purchased 70-plus properties in the last 3 years, on and off the MLS. There are 17, so I will have to try to be brief and move it along. The goal of this presentation is to open your mind beyond simply looking on the MLS for houses, emailing or faxing offers in, and crossing your fingers. I will not be divulging all of my secrets. This is more about a way of thinking than about specific tactics or contacts. Please try to hold all your questions till the end, especially ones about head tire. And if at any point, if you feel like I could be more clear on something, I'll give Jeremy permission to try to shout something out. Being in real estate every day, a lot of times you just get so used to using a certain verbiage that if we got some new people in the room, I might not be able to speak to them. So 17 unique ways to hunt down and slay awesome deals. Drum roll, please. That's lame. Come on. I need more. I'm not going to the next slide until you get right. Okay. Number one, let's start with the classic. The double dip. So this is a strategy to use when buying on the MLS. I've employed this tactic on over 35 deals. And it goes something like this typically. I'll be on my phone. Hi, Joe Realtor. I'm calling about the listing at 14152 Arnold in Redford. I'm an agent, but I'm actually looking to buy for myself. I'm not looking for a commission and would prefer that you write the offer. I'm a cash buyer and have proof of funds ready to send to you. So that's my typical spiel on the phone. At that point, I'll have usually already gone out and looked at the property. I'm licensed. I have access to the MLS. So I'll usually done my research, gone to the property, come back. I already know where I stand on it. And my goal here is to try to get an in with the listing agent. Basically, he stands to make twice as much money if he writes the offer for me and gets it accepted versus if there's another buyer out there with their own buyer's agent and they're going to do a co-op sale and split it 3% and 3%. He's going to get the full 6%. So from there, human nature pretty much takes its course. I mean, most of you, this is a pretty common tactic, but I'm here to say it works. I've done it time and time again. So when a guy can make twice as much money, he's maybe going to find a way to get the deal to you. This is a house on Sarasota Street. This is a prime example. I called an agent about this house, gave him the spiel. Actually, I hadn't been in the property yet. So I called him. He said, can you meet me there in an hour, let's say. I meet him there, and he knows that he can make twice as much money if he sells it to me versus if another buyer's agent brings the deal. So we're walking through the house, and I'm like, yeah, this is a nice house. You know, is what I'm thinking in my mind. I'd really like this. And he's looking at his phone. He's like, oh, look, an offer just came in. You want to see it? And he's showing me the offer. He's like, oh, another one just came in. And so we just have a conversation right there in the house. He goes, well, this one came in at 35. He's like, we can probably avoid a multiple offer situation if you do 37. And I'm like, well, I can probably do 37. He's like, all right, it's yours. And pretty much shake hands. He goes to his office, and the deal gets done. So that's a prime example of how the double dip works. Number 2, the follow-up to the double dip is the pocket listing. So you get a guy, a couple deals like that, he starts liking you. He might just give you a call before he hits the MLS with it and say, hey Jesse, I got this property on Wormer Street, and I know you like buying Redford. I know you like these 1,000 square foot brick ranches with basements and garages. I think this would be a good house for you. This is what we need to bring in on it. If you can give me that, then the house is yours. And that's pretty much how the pocket listing works. Number 3, who knows who that is? Speedy Gonzalez. I love Speedy Gonzalez as a kid. I named my my fastest Matchbox car Speedy Gonzalez. So the Speedy Gonzalez. This comes down to knowing your market. Now I work in primarily Wayne and Oakland counties when I'm looking for flips, but there are particular areas that I know really well, such as Livonia, because I grew up in Redford. Livonia is right next to there. I know Livonia really well. So I'm ready to pounce on a deal at any moment because I know the numbers in my head, where I have to be. I don't even have to double check the MLS a lot of times. I know a specific neighborhood where I have to be to make a deal. So you can see this one hit new on market January 16th of this year at 1:22 p.m. You can see it shows CCS, which is continue to show. Basically, it's under contract. I got under contract. It's marked under contract at 5:33 p.m. of the same day. So only about 4 hours elapsed. So what happened is I'm on my computer checking the MLS. I see this pops up new. I'm like, wow, this is a deal. I need to be out there. I need to get there fast. So I put on my Speedy Gonzalez shoes and get in my car. I go out there, take a look. I'm interested. I'm ready to make an offer. I call the agent on the phone, and what do? I do the double dip. So I give him the spiel, and then we go back and forth couple hours, and I get a verbal commitment. At that point, I ask the agent to mark CCS when I have a verbal. I haven't even signed the contract yet, but I want it off the MLS. I want it to not be showing that it's new, that it's available. It's like I want. It's like when your dog is marking the pole, you know. It's like I want to mark this house. It's mine. So he marks it, and I end up buying this house. Numbers on this house: the buy was $73,000, the rehab was $43,700, closing, holding costs, commissions about $10,000. The sale was at $160,500, and the profit was $33,700. So this was a good, solid deal, and I got it because I was quick. Now this strategy works best when working with private sellers, because the banks these days, they even write it on the listing ticket. It says, please allow 2 to 3 days or an eternity to get an accepted offer. You know, the banks will drag it out. They're trying to force that multiple offer situation, but private sellers can act quickly. So I try to plant the seed right when I talk to them, to the agent. I say, is the seller ready to make a quick decision on my first point of contact? Because I want to press that it's urgent that I get a quick decision, because I need it off the market, because it's already a good deal. I need it off the market so that I get it. Number 4, tell your story. So this is another house in Redford. I became a rental. I sent an email to the agent. This is what it reads. I left you a voicemail this morning. I viewed your listing on Virgil Street earlier today and would like to submit an offer for my company. I'm an agent but since I'm buying for myself, I'm not looking for commission and would prefer that you write the offer. I have attached proof of funds and my LLC documentation. My business partner and I own 27 homes in Redford, and we would love to come to terms on this one. And then I followed up with a phone call later. And this was just a part of my phone call. I was born and raised in Redford and still live here now. I used to own a lawn company and spent my summers cutting grass right in this neighborhood. So I'm just kind of working in my story while I'm talking to this agent. At closing, I'll just read this. This house had multiple investor offers. At closing, the seller said she picked my offer. It wasn't the highest because she liked that I lived in Redford and wanted to make sure she sold it to someone who would take care of the home for her neighbor's sake. She had lived there. She grew up in that house. It was her family's house, and she knew that there's three or four investor offers. She's come to terms with the fact that it's going to turn into a rental. So she wants it to go to the person who's going to take the best, in her opinion, is going to take the best care of the house because she likes her neighbors. She doesn't want the memory of her house. She doesn't want to drive by there 5 years from now and see it all dilapidated. So she ended up going with my offer, the lower offer, just because she liked my story. For best results, combine numbers 1, 3, and 4, add passion and persistence, rinse and repeat. So that was the double dip, the Speedy Gonzalez, and tell your story. So now I try to mix those in whenever I'm going after something on the MLS, because you never know which one of those is going to make a little bit of difference you need. It's all in the fine details a lot of times that'll get you your offer accepted versus someone else. Number 5, watch for patterns and capitalize on them. So I got a couple examples of this. It's Randy Street in Westland and North Silver Street in Redford. So the pattern was this. I was on the MLS doing research. Elias Realty, don't get me started on that. We won't talk about Elias, but Elias Realty was consistently listing houses for lease for $2,000 to $2,400 a month in areas that typically rent for $1,000 to $1,200 a month. I felt this was odd because I saw it consistently happening. I said, what's going on? So I got on the phone and started asking questions. I discovered that they were using this as part of their short sale strategy. They would first list the property for rent at a rate it would take for the homeowner to break even each month. Because they've got maybe an adjustable rate mortgage, their mortgage payment's gone sky high, and so they're going to list the property for rent at a rate that they would break even each month. Obviously, it's not going to rent for twice market rent. So they would then use this as ammunition against the bank to get the short sale done. So what I found out then was that each of these houses was going to soon come on the market as a short sale. So that month I wrote 4 short sale offers on Elias listings before they were short sales. I wrote the short sale offers while they were listed as rentals. I had no competition. I got all 4 offers accepted, and 2 ended up getting approved by the bank.
Did the FBI look for come after your records when they went after Elias? Did the FBI talk to you?
No.
Okay, well,
So I said I didn't want to get into it.
Talking to Mr. Elias.
I know. So this is Randy Street. This is in Westland. I bought for $45,000. The rehab was $24,000. Closing and holding costs were about $12,500. I sold for $120,000, and the profit was about $38,500. Number 6, the Lazy Realtor. We all know a few of those, right? So my example on this is South Silbert Street. For over a month, I saw a realtor sign in the yard of a house next to one of my rentals. I finally tried looking up the house, but I found it was not for listed. I tried looking it up on the MLS. I called on the sign, and she said that it was going to be listed as a short sale and that she just hadn't gotten around to putting on the MLS. It had been at least a month. So she was obviously the classic lazy realtor. I told her, great, I'm going to buy it. Give me the lockbox code. So the lesson here is don't assume a sign in the ground means it's getting that it's listed or getting the action it should. Cross-reference with the MLS, call and ask questions. So there's a picture of the house. No, that's the wrong house. But I've got 3 on Silbert, so that's a different one. But the only thing I should have done this instant was call sooner. That sign was in the ground for a really long time, and it just struck me odd that she would put a sign in the ground and not list it. But it happens. It happens all the time. So when I see a sign in an area that I'm really hot on, a house that I really like, I take a picture of the sign. I go back home, take a picture of the sign, take a picture of the address, go back home and do some research because you never know what you're going to find. Number 7, the deal partnership. Example on this is Rochester Road in Royal Oak. Your network should know who you are, what you do, and what you have to offer. I have an understanding with several other investors that at any given time, I may be willing to partner on a deal. They bring the deal, and I can bring either the private money or my experience successfully flipping homes. I typically make less money on these arrangements, but it helps fill gaps in my pipeline. I have to keep projects constantly rolling, so when I have a gap or I have some free money, this can help fill in those gaps by partnering with people who can bring deals. So this one worked out pretty well in Royal Oak. We bought for $115, rehabbed for about $22.5, closing, holding costs, commissions were about $17.5. The sale was $215, and our profit was about $60,000 on this deal. Number 8, recruit an army of fans. So this is another Redford house. When I first got started in real estate investing, I made sure that everyone knew about it. I sent out letters and emails telling everyone, hey, I'm getting into real estate, I'm trying this new thing, and I ended up following that up with updates after I did deals number 1 through 5. So everyone I knew, I think I stole our wedding list and went through there, and names, addresses. I had sent out postcard letters, and then I did a couple email bombs as well. So everyone knew what I was doing. So not every time someone sees me, they always ask me how business is going, what I'm doing with houses. So when an opportunity comes up, I might just be the first person they think about. And that was the case with this house on Westgate. This was a short sale that someone else had put in an offer, got their offer accepted at $40,000, but they were unable to complete the transaction. So now we've got a seller and a listing agent who's scrambling to find a buyer to get this deal done with the bank. So this was actually a friend of a friend who lived here and owned this house, and so the word got back to me, hey Jesse, the Govan's house is for sale. The bank's approved it at $40,000, and they just need a cash offer to close this thing quickly. So I said, well, let me take a look at the house. I went through it and liked the house and bought it. Number 9, brand yourself. Got a nice cow in the corner, getting branded. So for a while at the meetings at RDI, I think this was Jeremy that really led me to do this. I kind of branded myself for a while as the Redford market expert, because I was heavily looking to buy more and more houses in Redford, because that was the area I grew up in, that was the area I knew. So this is kind of a funny story. One day I hop on my email and I see this suspicious activity. Like, what's going on? I didn't send these emails. I'm looking through my sent folder, and something went out and there was a link on it. I was like, oh crap, I got hacked. So I immediately go on there and put together an email, just blasting it out to everyone saying, hey, my email got hacked, sent out this weird email, this link. Do not open the email, don't open the link, just delete it. I don't know what it is. Sorry about that. I've changed my password. It's taken care of. And at the bottom of my email was my standard email signature, Jesse Boyd, the Redford market expert. So that went out to everyone I knew, pretty much, that had ever emailed me. And I ended up getting a response by the guy who had done my mortgage on my personal residence. He says, "What's this Redford market expert thing? I heard you're getting into real estate, so you're working in Redford?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "Well, I've got a friend of a friend, this lady that's got a house in Redford, and she's trying to get out. She's trying to move on." And I said, "Well, give me your information, and I'll see what I can do." So this led me to this house on Ross, which is a very nice area of Redford, and I ended up working a deal with the homeowner. I bought the house on land contract, so it was seller financing. I gave $4,500 down. I assumed a mortgage payment at 6.5% interest. There was a $36,000 balance. I used insurance money. She had a claim going. She had some water and animal damage near her roof, and she was kind of struggling taking care of that situation with the insurance company. And so I ended up having her give me power of attorney to handle the insurance claim. So I went to the insurance and I hit them up for several $1,000s more than they were going to give her. And I ended up getting more than I needed, so I used the insurance money to paint the house and get it cleaned up and ready for rent. And that's been renting for $1,100 a month. And it recently appraised a couple months ago for $75,000. Number 10, befriend an attorney. This is something I would usually never tell someone to do. Sorry, Aaron. Sorry, Aaron. So, attorneys have deals come across their desks all the time. Bankruptcy, probate, divorce attorneys. And you need a couple of these attorneys that have these deals come across their desk in your network. So this is a deal I got through a probate attorney on Robert Street in Livonia. This is probably the nastiest house I've ever bought.
Did you have to remove
my wife and my dad can contest that.
Looks like you died there.
So, there was a couple of gals living in this house. They were hoarders. The neighbors told me they had about 38 cats. There was. I could barely be in the house. I had to open up all the windows and doors just to be in there for the inspection. The smell was horrendous. There was cat hair on every surface imaginable, even like the light fixtures on the ceiling. They were hoarders. The neighbors told me that 16 dumpsters of stuff came out of there. I think the court had ordered it to be cleaned out or something. We got out an additional 4 dumpsters. So 20 30-yard dumpsters of stuff. And it was only a 1,300 square foot home.
Jeremy has almost that many dogs.
So there's some aftershocks. So the buy was $60,000, rehab was $51,000, closing holding costs, commissions about $9,000. We sold for $145,900, and the profit was about $25,500.
Did you have to gut that like down to the studs the whole thing?
No, I mean, Kills does wonders. I mean, we ripped a lot out. We had to rip out the hardwood floors. That was the first. They were so urine saturated we couldn't keep them. But we ripped out everything out, including the hardwood floors, and guys with masks and buckets of Kills and sprayers, and pretty much 360 sprayed everything. Number 11, direct mail. It works, and it's work. This is a whole separate talk on its own, but pick up a course or a book on direct mail marketing. Basically, the key here is to be consistent, test and tweak, and the phone will ring. Groups you can target: tax delinquent, houses, landlords, free and clear properties, probates and trusts, absentee owners, pre-foreclosures, and many more. An example of this is Green Farm Road. This is the condo I bought in West Bloomfield. The buy was $95,000. The rehab was $711. The closing costs were about $10,000, and I sold it for $148,500. The profit was just under $43,000. Number 12. Do you know any other houses for sale I might be interested in? This is a question that you should keep loaded in your gun. Most of your leads from direct mail and other marketing efforts will not turn into deals. But sometimes a bad lead can point you towards a good lead. So ask this question all the time. Everyone you're talking to, especially if you're on an appointment working directly with the homeowner, they might know of a house down the street, they might know of a friend, they might know of a family member with a house for sale. This is where knowing your criteria really well and being specific helps this process. If you're just saying, well, I'm looking for houses to buy, that's not really helpful. Jeremy's was always really good when we do the go around and like the haves and wants types of thing. Be specific. Do you want to buy a house, or do you want to buy a 3-bedroom brick ranch with a basement and garage in South Redford? So be kind to people, and they will often reciprocate. So if you're generally kind, and you ask someone this question, and you give them specific criteria, they'll think about it. And if they got something in mind, they might just have a good lead for you. So example of this is I started looking at a house on Appleton in Redford, and this was a landlord who was tired of being a landlord, and he got a smoking hot deal on this house. I wish I had been the one to find this house, but he bought this house on Appleton for like $19,000 at the sheriff's sale, and so I was trying to convince him, sell the house to me. You've got such a good deal. You can wholesale it, be done and gone. You don't have to rent it and deal with it for the long term. So we get in there, we're talking, and he just wants a ridiculous price. He told me something like $80,000, and that was, the house was probably worth, because he had already started fixing it up, maybe worth 40, 45. So he's asking $80,000. I could have said, forget it, screw you, have a nice day. Maybe not in that order. But instead I stayed around, talked with him for a while, just see what he was planning on doing with the house, just talking shop. And he starts telling me more about how he got the house, about the sheriff's sale. And I started asking him questions about the timeline and everything, and I find out that he had just bought this thing maybe a month before at sheriff's sale, and he broke into the house and changed the locks and had proceeded to put $15,000 into the house, renovating it. It looked nice, but well, it's not his house yet. There's 6 months redemption, right? So, and he had no idea. So I proceeded to tell him, I think you've kind of exposed yourself to a lot of liability here. I was like, did you file a 30-day affidavit, the abandonment affidavit, because the previous owners had abandoned the property. So he could have filed a 30-day abandonment affidavit to expedite the process, so he could his sheriff's deed would activate more quickly. So he's put all this money into it. He's put $15,000 into it, and the previous owners could have come back and redeemed the property for $19,000. And all the updates that he put in would have been theirs. And so I tell him this, and he's just completely shocked and bewildered. And so this is where being kind and reciprocating comes in. He says, you know what? It comes to mind. I've got a client of mine, because he was in the lawn business too. I've got a client of mine. He's got a house on Kinlock I looked at. It was her mother's house. It's really outdated. I went over there and I offered her $22,000. And he starts describing the house. I'm thinking, oh, this is the type of house I'd really like to buy, but $22,000 is pretty ridiculous. I mean, it was a low offer, so I understood why he didn't get it, and I was willing to pay more. So I ended up getting the information off of him for this house on Kinlock, and I called a lady. And just recently, I on Saturday, I put together a deal with this lady. I'm buying the house for $50,000, seller financed. I'm putting down $10,000, and she's financing at 0% interest. I'm not paying her any interest, and my monthly payments are going to be $500 a month. After I renovate this house, it'll rent for $11.50 a month. So number 13, auctions. There's a lot of auctions, a lot of ways you can pick up properties. There's the county tax auctions, Hudson and Marshall, Williams Auctions, Hubzoo.com, auction.com. I bought this property on Brookfield through an auction. Here's some befores and afters. I mean, it's an auction. What else is there to say? I put buyer beware because a lot of times, I mean, there is no contingencies. You got to really do your homework. There can be back taxes, back water. You can be getting quick claim deeds for these things. Special assessments. I mean, there's a lot of things to consider. I mean, they're selling tons of properties now on which one is it? I think Hubzoo and auction.com. Tons of properties that are still owner occupied. You can't even go by them. They say do not trespass. So you would have to buy the house without seeing it and evict the people. So there's a lot of risk that can go into buying houses at auctions. But you can also get a good deal. So I bought this house for $47,000, put about $31,500 into it. Closing, holding costs, commissions were a little under $16,000. Sale was at $118,000, and the profit was $23,500. Number 14, failed sales and unwanted properties. Some properties are so ugly or in such disrepair that almost nobody wants to buy them. Examples would be extensive mold, pet smell, fire damage, foundation, and structural issues. An experienced investor with a vision and a proper team can rescue these properties. The seller will eventually sell at the right price. I mean, if they've got a dump and they got to get rid of it, eventually they're going to get the clue and they're going to unload it because, well, there's property taxes, there's insurance, there's holding costs, right? So an example of this would be a Southfield house I recently bought. I'm renovating it right now. I bought for $51,000. Estimated rehab is $45,000. Closing holding costs I estimate will probably be about $15,000. Projected sale $140,000. Projected profit $29,000. So this house is ugly. This is yellow shag carpet. This house had some foundational concerns, structural concerns. In the basement, I have some really large cracks and a basement wall starting to lean in, which was also causing one whole brick wall on the exterior to buckle and bow. And so I had to get the cracks fixed, rebuild that whole wall on the outside. A lot of stuff that your average investor is going to maybe feel a little squeamish with when they walk into a house and see those types of issues. So a lot of it comes down to just knowing the right people, having people on your team who can handle those things. Because I'm not the one fixing it. At the end of the day, to me, it just boils down to how much does it cost. So ugly properties, unwanted properties, if you can handle it, there's a lot of people that can't, so it's a good source. Number 15, buy directly from the bank. They keep getting better, don't they? Say what? I thought they won't just sell one. Don't you have to buy 50? It's not true. Okay, so you're not going to be very successful trying to pull this off with Bank of America, Chase, or any of the other big guys. You have to go local. The smaller the institution, the better. Basically, you want to find out who at the bank handles REOs and non-performing loans, and you tell them that you're a cash buyer, you're interested in purchasing a property on XYZ street, and see what they have to say. You basically have to get on the phone, call a lot of small local banks, and just drum up a lot of conversations and see if they've got some inventory that they might be willing to sell directly to you. The key is to do this before they list the property. You can usually save the amount that the bank would otherwise pay an agent on top of whatever other discount you can negotiate. So an example of this is Lenore Street. This is one I recently picked up. I got a decent deal on it. I ended up picking it up for $47, and the appraisal had come in at $64, $65. So I got a decent deal working directly with the bank on it. Number 16, be creepy, trust your gut, and follow your nose wherever it goes. This one's pretty self-explanatory. I think we can move right on to number 17.
Can you not come up with 17?
No, so we got a creepy guy looking through his blinds, right? Toucan Sam makes an appearance. Okay, had to throw him in. And sometimes you have to just get out of your comfort zone and just go with it. Action breeds opportunity. So this is a story. Brady Street. This is another recent house I got under contract about a week and a half ago. So I'm working a lead. I'm trying to get another property directly from the bank, and they send me by this address. They're like, we're about to, the redemption period's about to be up on this property, and we're gonna have title in a few days. So why don't you go by, check it out? We may be willing to work directly with you. So I'm driving by this property, and I'm driving real slow. Pull out my camera. I like roll down my window. I'm trying to take a picture, and then I see the curtains go like this. And so I'm like, well, that's fine. You can watch me be creepy. And I start just taking a couple pictures of the house. And so I kind of start slowly driving off, thinking about that. And I'm like, well, I know that they're still there. The people haven't left. I'm kind of curious, what's going on, because this is a property I'm really interested in. I want to buy. What's my timeline going to be with the bank? Are they going to have to evict these people? What's going on? And also, if I find out some information for the bank, I feel like this may end up helping me. Like, I'm helping the asset manager. I'm giving her, because otherwise she has to send someone or go herself to this property, knock on the door, find out what's going on. Because I can tell from her emails that she doesn't really know what's going on yet. So I was like, well, I'll run the recon for them. I'll take some pictures. I'll find out what's going on, and then maybe
Get shot.
And maybe she'll appreciate this, being kind, and reciprocate. So I'm just trying to go the extra mile here. So I decided to pull off. Like, well, he's already seen me, so I'll just get out of my car and go knock on the door. And so I knock on the door. The guy comes, is like, "What you want, man?" And I said, "Well, I understand the property might be up for sale in a little bit, and I'm just looking for a house in Redford." And he goes, I hear another guy in the background go, "All right, let him in." So he lets me in the house, and I come in, and the house is like 90% clear of stuff. There's just one couch in this big living room, and the guy's sitting there all sprawled out. He's like, "Hey, what you want, man?" And so I just repeat my spiel. I was like, well, just tell the truth. It's like, I understand that this property might be coming up for sale, and I'm just a young guy looking to buy a house in Redford. He goes, yeah, that's right. I'm supposed to be out of here in a couple days. You see, I'm clearing out. And he proceeds to start, telling me all about the house. He starts telling me everything that's wrong with it, we needed upgrades, where the roof leak is, about the furnace, hot water heater. I'm like, this is great. I'm getting all the information about the house, and he even lets me look around. So I go look around the house, go in the basement. So I'm getting kind of a sneak peek at the house, and I'm going to be able to go back to the bank and tell them, hey, he's mostly out, and he'll probably be out by your deadline, which I feel the asset manager will appreciate. So I'm finishing up, and he goes, you know what? If you're really looking for a house, you should check out this house on Brady Street. And I go, well, why's that? He's like, well, you know, this house is kind of small, you know, only 1,000 square feet, and I was looking at this house on Brady Street, and it's got an addition off the back, some extra square footage, it's got new concrete, it's got new this. He's like, the guy just put paint and carpet, and you know, he's asking this much for it. So it's a pretty good deal. I'm thinking to myself, yeah, that's a pretty good deal. Like, do you know the address or got a phone number? And he's like, yeah, follow me. So I follow him out to his car, and he's got all this notes scribbled on this big sheet of paper. And he's like, I think it's this one. So he gives me this random phone number. He's like, you got a name? He's like, no, not really. Like, so you don't have an address. I'm like, okay. So I quickly forget about it until the next morning. Oh, this was a Wednesday. He told me that the guy was planning. He knew he was planning on listing it on Friday. He had a real estate agent he was talking to. And it listed Friday. So I get this phone number on Wednesday, and Thursday morning I'm going through my daily routine. And I'm like, Brady Street. I gotta call that guy. So I punch in the number, and I'm like, hey, my name's Jesse. You got a house for sale? He's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, I'd like to see it. And so I set up an appointment with this guy. We go to his house. Sure enough, new carpet, new paint, new concrete. It's got a nice addition off the back, extra square footage. It's a pretty nice house, and I'm interested. And sure enough, he's going to list it the next day. And so I decide, you know, I'm going to cut a deal right now. And like an hour later, he was following me back to my house so we could print up a purchase agreement and get the deal done. So that being said, just getting out of your comfort zone and just taking action will lead you to opportunities that you might not otherwise have. 17, buy the non-performing loan and foreclose. This is a strategy for experienced investors. The basic mechanics, much like buying a house, you're going to find the note, find the seller, you can do your due diligence, make an offer, negotiate, you're going to close on the deal, then you're going to record the assignment. It's typically the note, the mortgage will get assigned to you. So you now own...
Sorry.
Yeah, that's a little quick.
Yeah. So normally you're buying a house, you're getting the deed. You can also buy the papers with the mortgage. The mortgage is a filed event. There's a promissory note, which is an unfiled event. How you sell the mortgage is you assign the mortgage, and how you sell the note is you launch the note.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
just to clear that.
Yeah. So you now own the note, not the property. You must foreclose to get title. Typically, you're going to hire an attorney, and they will take you through the foreclosure process. When I did it, I ended up using an attorney to help me through. I found an attorney that specialized in foreclosure. I used him to help me during the due diligence process because this was a new strategy for me, and so I wanted to make sure I had my butt covered. And I knew I was going to end up hiring an attorney to foreclose, so I figured I should have this guy in on the deal from day one so that when I go to foreclose, he's not like, wait, what happened? How did you get this? Oh, well, you kind of screwed this up, and this is what should have been done. I wanted to bring him in on day one. So that's what I would recommend, using the same attorney that you use to review the title and the docs as you're going to use to foreclose. So the short standard version of this is going to cost you $1,000 to $3,000 in attorney fees, take anywhere from 1 to 9 months total. And the best case scenario would be like the 1 month scenario maybe, is you find a house with one lien on it, you're able to cut a deal with the owner just to deed the property to you instead of foreclosing for a minimum amount of cash, like a cash for keys. So you give him $250. He's like, fine, I owed $1 million on it anyways. I might as well get something, for the house, and he'll sign over a deed. And that's So an example of this is Royal Grand. So it's a pretty nice looking house, right? This is like a almost 1,400 square foot house in Redford. Nice brick. And this is what I saw when I was negotiating for the note. Because there's a tenant living in the property. I was never able to get inside. So from the outside, this is what I saw. I'm like, this house looks great. You know, nice solid brick, good cement, good roof, good newer windows, a lot of newer siding on the soffits, and everything just looked good. So I ended up buying the property or getting the note, foreclosing on the property.
From a bank or private bank? Private note or bank?
Private. Yeah, I bought the note from an investment group that had bought a bunch from a bank. So they basically wholesaled it to me. They made a little cut in between. So I ended up, it gets a little complicated. We ended up getting a hold of the owner, who now lives in Texas. He was renting the house. He ended up deeding me the property, which helped in some ways, but there was 2 liens on the property. So if he deeds me the property to the same entity that I'm foreclosing in, then the second lien would then become the first lien. Jump in at any point if I'm confusing people. So I have to foreclose because I only bought the note on the first. So I have to foreclose to get rid of the second. But I want the ability to start working things out with the tenant now, and I can't do that until I own the property. So I get him to deed me the property to another entity. So my one entity owns the property, I can start dealing with the tenant. In the meantime, my other entity that owns the first position lien is foreclosing on my other entity that owns the property. So I'm foreclosing on myself.
Silly question, did you try and contact the other lien holder? Buy it out, $5,000, some crap like that, or?
I believe I did.
Okay.
It was a little while ago. I'm a little fuzzy on the details of that, but yeah,
So
I did.
when people ask if you've ever been foreclosed on,
I have not personally been foreclosed on. My company has. So,
I foreclosed on myself.
so I was foreclosing on myself so I could get a clear title. So in the meantime, I start trying to work a deal with this tenant. They're in there paying way below market rent at $625 a month. It's a house that should rent for probably $1,100 a month, easily, reasonably fixed up. So all I really want from her is to leave the property peacefully. Now I'm also bound by her existing lease on the property, which fortunately was up in May, and I took title with my one company in April. So it was, or June. So it was coming up. It was only a couple months, but things started off great. You know, she invites me in. We have a nice meeting. She's a little skeptical because she thought she was doing a rent to own with the previous guy. So she had given him like $3,500 or so as like an option payment or something. But I saw her paperwork and it was, I mean, she totally got scammed basically. And so she brought all that distrust in from that relationship with the previous owner of the property into her now new relationship that I'm trying to form with her. And things, the short story is things got ugly quickly just because she was very distrusting, and I ended up having no options but to evict her. So when I finally got possession of the property, they had left me this lovely mess in the basement. I am greatly under the impression that they flooded it with sewage on purpose, and they nailed doors shut and put the thermostat at 85 degrees. So when I finally broke into the property, steam came billowing out. It was like a 50-degree day.
It's a resort.
I'm there with my contractors. We're with crowbars and stuff trying to break into the property. The door finally swings open, and you just get hit with this this shit smell and this steam is billowing out, and immediately I'm like, what's going on? This is weird, you know. And so I go to the thermostat. It's 85 degrees. It's dark in there. I go running down the stairs, and I splash right in all the mess. And so I guess that goes without saying. This is again another buyer beware situation. You don't really know what you're getting into with these, but.
Did you pursue criminal charges on it?
No, but with high risk can come high reward. And I think I still did pretty good on this. I bought the note for $22,000. Back taxes, back water, etc. was about $6,000. The foreclosure and eviction cost me about $2,000. The renovation was $25,000. I was hoping for $10,000 before I got inside and saw what I had to deal
How
with.
big was the water bill?
It wasn't really that bad. No.
Then it clogged the drains and it clogged it.
I did have to have my drain company come in and snake it out, and that got it going. So I've got it renovated. I got a renter moving in soon at $1,200 a month, and the property's probably worth about $90,000 plus right now. So now questions and answers.
Juggle first.
Juggle first.
You don't bring something up like juggling.
How many sellers a week do you meet with, Jesse?
I'm just kidding.
Depends on the week.
Give a rough average, maybe per month. Out of all those, how many turn into deals? What's your number ratio?
So probably on average, I'm meeting with 1 or 2 a week. Nothing crazy. And I'm probably 10-15% on success rate when I meet with just homeowners.
What would you say your percentage of business is coming from direct marketing?
From
Direct marketing?
more and more. I mean, the MLS has really been dry enough for me. A lot of the MLS stuff you saw was earlier deals, and I'm doing more stuff off market. I mean, I've probably been getting 50% of my deals lately through just marketing efforts.
Do you do anything like I'll buy it or list it, or is it strictly I'll buy it type stuff? You don't want to take it.
Mostly buy, yeah. I've tried getting some listings like when I can tell the buy is not going to work well. I've tried to snag the listing instead, but it's really tough to start one way and head the other. It really is.
Sure. I can see if you're hammering on price, then you want to.
Yeah, exactly. So you're hammering on price,
All right,
you're
well,
trying to
we won't
buy
take
on,
that deal.
for pennies on the dollar, and then all of a sudden, well, okay, that didn't work out. I think we can list this for way more. Yeah, you can see how that'd be tough to pull off.
Do you meet with everyone that calls you on the phone just to try to make contact and get references, even if you gather information on the phone and you're like, well, I know the price that they want already, I don't know if there's a potential deal here, probably not.
Kind of
You
depends.
still spend
if
time
it's,
with them to sit down and feel out the situation, try to be creative, or no?
it depends. It depends on a lot of things. Like if I'm really busy at the moment and I'm really not that hungry for a deal, I'm gonna be like, forget it. Or if they're a 45-minute drive and I'm like, I really just don't have a feeling this is gonna. Because again, I don't want to waste my time. I really don't feel like I can make this work. But sometimes if they're close, or if I don't necessarily feel like it's going to turn into a deal, I'll meet with them anyways. Because like I said, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, I've been having more and more of these, as you can tell, what seem like bizarre instances. I'm driving around in my car, talking to people, getting strange phone numbers, meeting strange people, and action breeds opportunity. So yeah, sometimes I'll just go out and Aaron.
Jesse, can you talk a little bit more about non-performing notes, in particular, how you're finding these deals, going to banks, what type of discount you're getting, minimum amount?
So I bought 4 houses like that this past year, They're all from the same company, and they were wholesaling them. I got what I felt was a really good deal on all of those, and when I went back to buy more, the deals seemed to dry up.
15 cents a dollar, I think, 20 cents. $100,000 note is getting for $40,000.
Yeah, for instance, that one I showed on the screen, Royal Grand, I think it was, they owed like 150, 160, and I got it for 22.
How long since the last time?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not. That's not necessarily my area of expertise. I'm not going to be able to speak to that real well. I mean, when I bought those, I mean, pretty much I relied heavily on experts and people I knew to get those deals done.
I think there's a lot of opportunity with those. In particular, you buy $100,000 note for 15.
Yeah.
You can forgive, let's say, $30,000 for principal. You get them an incentive to stay in the house and drop the interest rate.
Why do you give an incentive to somebody to stay in a house that has made a payment in a year?
Because
You don't want
maybe,
them that
maybe
much.
they can't afford the 7%, knock it down to 4.
Yeah.
You want them gone.
There's a lot to
You want them
modify the
gone.
note.
You know.
A lot of different opportunities.
Yeah, Jeff.
You don't want to babysit that dude.
If they can't pay.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. I mean, obviously, we've had Dr. Daniels come here a lot and talk about notes and things, and there's a lot of risk involved. There's a lot of funny situations that can come up, and so if I ever get involved in deals like that, I rely heavily on I seek counsel.
Yeah, I would like to. So the paper side of the real estate is a lot more regulated, especially if recently you've been coming to meetings. Now, has it always been more regulated, but it's about to become even more regulated, whereas the deed side isn't. There's a lot of opportunity out there, but sometimes you gotta pick what you want to do,
Yeah.
and if you don't know, get somebody who knows.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
Jessica.
question over here.
In regards to the sheriff sales, and if you don't know this, maybe somebody else does, the title companies are not accepting the 30-day abandonments from us as investors. Do you know that is across the board, or
No, I don't know.
they said that the bank, the only one that can do the 30-day abandonments. Do you know?
Never heard that myself. Are you
Yeah.
using an attorney though?
No, because we didn't have to. It just, I mean, this was a last year deal that I did.
All right, so let me back up here. 90% of real estate investors and realtors are absolute pieces of crap who are looking to jack up everybody in the deal. And you go to a title company with one you did yourself. I mean, unless you have a great relationship with them, I don't necessarily blame them for not accepting something where somebody has liability if they did it wrong. That might be the problem, because I haven't heard of that. If you hired an attorney, how much would you have to pay to do a single sheet? So that may be why they'll tell you can't do a simultaneous closing too. Oh, you can't buy and sell the same day. They know you can. They've probably been jacked before, or they've been lied to by someone else who's been screwed before. When you're approaching those kind of things that are really weird, go with known relationships, or especially.
This one wasn't known one. This was, my title company.
You might need to fire their ass then. That's what I'd say. They think you're out to screw them.
Well, I think they looked at the bank. I don't think they're going to take an investor's word because they're filming mortgagees, only mortgage. I think that's not look at it. They got to sign that.
Yeah, because they were doing it, then they said something changed where they could no longer accept us serving an abandonment notice, even though it was legit.
Like a lot of you guys, I don't know if I trust y'all though. So a lawyer. Any other questions for Jesse? This guy is probably like 10 times smarter than most of us. So last opportunity.
What about private money? Do you want to speak on that at all? Or are you doing that through just relationships? What's that?
I mean,
Spill your secrets and then juggle.
yeah, there's no real secret sauce on that. I mean, Mike and I did get fairly fortunate with private money. I mean, ended up being a good friend of his, and that we just didn't know with deep pockets. And that's where a lot of it came from. But yeah, I've raised money from other sources, and obviously keeping good track of your deals, pictures, numbers, and things like that goes a long ways. I mean, once you have several under your belt, and you get a track record, and you go to these meetings, and you get to be known, people recognize your face and know your name, it just gets so much easier. I mean, it gets to the point where you can just, people know you, you can just start asking for money. Like, sure.
You're not
What do you
putting
need,
offerings out
100,000
or anything
or
like that.
what's that?
You're not doing offerings or
No.
Nope, you're not either.
That's the that's
Yeah.
the key violation.
Well, I mean, putting together the full package for someone and going through all the SEC.
No, I mean, I keep it real, just network based, you know. If I need some money, I get on my phone until I get the money.
Guess that'll work.
So out of your rehab and flips for the 17 strategies, which ones would you say, just for the rehab and flip deals, is your best, most fruitful, approach?
Most fruitful approach. Probably like direct marketing. Yeah, lately. I mean, it was nice when you could just like snipe them off the MLS and be like, oh, that one looks good, and you know, go look at 5 properties and get an offer accepted on one. But you know, it got to the point to where I was spending 10 to 20 hours a week driving around looking at properties on the MLS, doing research on my computer, figuring out after repair values, and doing rehab analysis on houses that are all going highest and best, and trying to work at angles. And you know, you can get one accepted every now and then, but I'm looking at my time. You know, how much time am I spending? It's awfully nice when you're marketing and people are coming to you, and they're working just one-on-one. There's not 5 other investors, 20 other investors. You know, I mean, when I put an offer on this house in Livonia, and I was trying to work the double dip, and the agent calls me back and says, well, there's 38 other offers right now. If you want to increase your offer, I said, if I'm the craziest guy out of 38, I can't make any money. You know, and that's when I really started taking a look at my processes and evaluating, where am I spending my time? Is this really worthwhile, or am I just burning gas? You know, so it is awfully nice marketing to people and having them come to you, call you on your phone.
Wants to do mail or some of the
Yeah, a lot of mail.
Letter or postcard?
You know, this is getting into my next slide. Or I will not be divulging all my secrets.
You're not going to tell us whether you send out a letter or a postcard?
Thank you for asking.
Divulging spoken.
No.
You could tell us whether you use a letter or a postcard. I'm calling you on that.
Okay, I use a letter.
Okay.
But in general, I really want to drive home the point that it's really not about, you know, a specific tactic or strategy, or you know, I do X, Y, and Z and 1, 2, and 3 order, and because things are constantly changing, constantly moving in this business, and you always have to be adapting to the market, and a lot of it's just keeping a mindset of you know setting goals. You know, I want to make this much money, or I want to do X amount of deals, or get X amount of rentals, and then just doing what it takes to get there. Getting up every morning, writing out plans, to-do lists, and going for it, and then taking risks when they're appropriate, getting out of your comfort zone, making phone calls, networking with people. It's more about the mindset of like, you know, I need this deal, I want this deal, because if you're just gonna, you know, half-ass some offers and just be like, okay, we'll submit some offers today, and throw them out, and you don't really want it. If you don't want it, you're not going to get it. You know, it's if I can spin this back to Settlers of Catan, which relates to no one.
There you go.
I've got a good friend I play this game with, and there's a lot of trading and negotiating that happens in the game. Winning or losing kind of falls on your ability to trade and negotiate. And we talk a lot about strategy, because we had these long road trips to some of these tournaments that we go and play at, and so we spend these 3 or 4 hours talking about strategy. And one of the things we noticed a lot is sometimes we'll try to make a trade that we don't believe in. And so there's 5 resources in the game: wood, brick, wheat, sheep, and ore. And so you might say, so you might say something like, all right, Jeff. You might say something like, I got a brick for a wheat, you know, and you're not going to get anything because you didn't believe in the trade, you know. If you need that to get your final point to win, you know, you're going to be like, I got a brick for a wheat. Who will take this? Will you take this? Will you take this? And I get accused of shoving cards in people's faces, but it works, you know. So I believe in the trade. I'm shoving it in their face. I'm saying, well, what about 2 brick? I want a brick and a sheep. How about you do this? Or, you know, you got to really believe it's going to happen. You got to believe going into the meeting that you can get this person to sign the contract. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Do you push them to sign a PA like the first time you meet them, or do you?
I'm a
dance them
soft
little
sell.
bit?
I'm not real big into the hard sell. It's just not my nature, so I'm not gonna go for it. But
So how have you handled that in the past? Then how much time do you give them to make a decision?
probably too much. I mean, I need to work on making my sell a little bit harder. But you know, a lot of times. I could talk about this for a long time, but
I think it's important. A lot of us are dealing with it. You know,
Yeah.
you sit down. I don't like to be a hard sell either. You sit down with someone, you build a relationship, you meet them 3 times, give them some outside contacts.
Oh, let's
help
back
them.
up. Why is it a hard sell?
It's not a hard sell. I'm
If
saying-
there's plenty of foreplay up front, it's what's supposed to happen next.
right.
That's the way I've always looked
But
at
then
it.
usually they'll shop the deal around, they'll make phone calls, and then they're going to get other people interested and involved. Where before, in the very beginning, you had a window of a week or so where it was just one-on-one, and then other players get
right,
the game.
yeah.
So how do you handle that, especially if they have external circumstances, they're not quite ready to make a commitment? I mean, how do you deal with sellers like that?
Yeah, you bring up a good point. A lot of times there are external circumstances, things that play in. I mean, I don't know. It's something I'm working on. I mean, like me and James have these meetings we go to. We meet regularly, and this is something we're really trying to develop. Is you know, this one-on-one time with the sellers is really important. But you know, I always try to stress the fact that you know, I'm only one guy. I have limited resources. I'm looking at 3 other houses this week. I really like your house, but my money can be gone at any moment.
And it's the truth too.
Yeah, it is the truth.
That's something I say all the
yeah,
time.
The truth works.
Yeah.
yeah. And
Truth
so
works a lot.
And sometimes that deal will happen 2 months down the road when the
Yeah.
person remembers
And-
that you treated them right.
Yeah.
You know, so it's.
What about contractors? Are you shopping like for all your rehabs? Are you using the same guys every single time, or do you? Have
Typically, yeah. I kind of got
general-
in, you know, with a team of guys I like. I mean,
Will you wait on someone like your plumber's like 3 weeks out? Are you gonna wait on him, or are you gonna go to the next guy?
no, I mean, I'm never 3 weeks on any type of plumbing. But, you know, sometimes, because I do use one main guy for all my stuff now, is a general contractor. You know, I'm usually running anywhere from, I was up to running like 15 projects at one time. A couple months ago, I was losing my head. But I cut him a little slack because I knew I had him on a ton of projects. The reason he was slow was because of me, you know. But I like having the relation with one person. He's my point of contact for, you know, a plumbing issue, an electrical issue, for, you know, something that needs to be framed, a roof that needs to go on. Because I want to focus my time on finding the deals, because it's hard enough to get the deals that if I'm trying to manage subcontractors all the time, I don't have the time to do what I'm supposed to be doing, because my contractor's not going to find houses for me, you know.
That's interesting. So you go to a general contractor on everything. So you're not.
For the most part, I've got a handyman I use for a lot of maintenance and small things that I'll call on sometimes.
But you're not managing the project, so your thumb on it the whole time.
No, I try to. I go to the job site maybe once or twice a week. But yeah, I don't want to be there every day, because as soon as you show up, work stops. Contractors want to talk to you. You got to be there enough to know that, for them to know that you care, and you're watching them, and to catch things before they go wrong, because they will go wrong. But I don't want to micromanage my projects. I have no interest in it.
Do you use something in the back office that kind of manages the price money you're taking in, the contractors, offers out? Do you use any one particular product for that, or do you just got it all in your hands?
I got a pretty good wife. Yeah, I mean, we tag team this stuff. She does a lot of like bookkeeping, banking, organizational type
How much
stuff.
do those cost?
It's cheaper to hire someone.
But yeah, truly, I couldn't do it without her.
Last question, one more question. Thank you. That was pretty weak ass sauce considering he did this on what? 6 days, 5 days notice? 6 days
Yeah,
notice?
5 days notice.
Let's give him a real.